So far, all our renders have been created with Maya software. That's the default renderer for Maya. However, you can switch over to other rendering engines that come with the program, one of which is Mental Ray. Mental Ray is a very powerful rendering system. In this video, I'm just going to talk about a few of the differences between Mental Ray and Maya software. So if you want to switch over to Mental Ray, there's a couple different ways you can do that. One is through the Render Settings window. If you go to the Render Using attribute at the top, there's a menu that has all the supported rendering engines. And the second one from the bottom is Mental Ray. So once you switch over there, from that point forward, it'll be using Mental Ray. It's also possible to go to the Render view. In fact, there's a menu right here that, of course, defaults to my software, but you can switch the renderer right here also. And again, Mental Ray is right there. Now, Mental Ray can render out any light or any shadow or any material that might have been created with Maya software. Mental Ray goes even further, though, by offering its own set of special attributes and options. For example, if I look in the Render Settings window again, you'll see that instead of having 2 tabs, I have a total of 5 tabs to the right of the Common tab. Mental Ray has so many different features and attributes, it's broken up into multiple tabs. There are special render passes, a long list of features. This will take a second to load up. And these include ray tracing, which we'll talk about in a later video, but also special advanced lighting systems like global illumination, caustics, and final gathering. Now, fortunately, in this video series, since it's introductory, we don't actually have time to get to some of these other systems like global illumination or final gathering. But they're very powerful and very good to know. So if you're curious about some of these other render systems for Mental Ray, check the Maya documentation to the help files. So in any case, Mental Ray has a number of special lighting setups that produce more realistic lighting and rendering. If I go beyond that to the Quality tab, it has its own anti-aliasing settings, which we'll talk about later, ray tracing, and there are things that Maya software does have, like motion blur, which we talked about before. If I go even further, the next tab is indirect lighting. Again, here are some of these special lighting/rendering systems like global illumination or final gathering. And then a number of options that are more specialized for the advanced user. So there's quite a few tabs here and quite a lot of features that you can adjust. Mental Ray also provides a complete set of shaders that are unique to it. So we go to the Hypershade. You'll see there's an entire Mental Ray section. If I click on some of these categories here, here are all the Mental Ray shaders. When I say shader, shader is really the same thing as material. So these are all special Mental Ray materials or special utilities that can only be used with Mental Ray. If you try to use them with Maya software cannot read them. So Mental Ray can use any of its own special materials, utilities, and so on, but can also use any of the Maya software ones. So therefore, you have access to a huge library of materials and utilities. So Mental Ray could easily be covered in its own series of DVDs. But if you want to start simple, you can simply switch over to the Mental Ray renderer and use things that we'll discuss in this series, like the anti-aliasing quality settings or motion blur or ray tracing. Now, if you go to switch to Mental Ray and you see that it's missing, it could be the plugin is turned off because it's actually set up as a plugin. So what you can do is go up to Window, Settings Preferences, and go to the Plugin Manager and make sure it's turned on. So again, Plugin Manager. And what you want to do is look for the MR to Maya plugin. Here it is right here, Maya to MR.mll. So if it's unchecked, what you can do is just simply check on Loaded and Auto Load, and that way it'll load up at that point and also load the next time you run Maya. Occasionally it gets turned off. And by the way, any kind of special plugin you might want to use, whether it's Mental Ray or some other special plugin that might read certain modeling types like OBJ or FBX, you can find the plugins in this area, and this is where you can turn them on. So Mental Ray is a powerful rendering engine, and we'll talk a little bit more about this in later videos.